Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to bring you this new series that I'm doing on my channel. I really hope that you enjoy it. Let me know in the comments below if you do. So today is hooded eyes, and I'm going to start off with the brows, which is pretty simple. I'm just using L'Oreal Brow Plumper. And this basically is going to thicken up Anna's brows and make them look a little bit more hairy and bushy, which is all in at the moment. So I'm using the L'Oreal Brow Plumper, and this is in the shade dark brown, or medium dark maybe actually, sorry. But I'm just literally fanning it through, brushing the hairs up. Now this is my favourite part of a brow transformation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the tip and I'm going to go underneath the brow hair. So see, Anna has a slight bit of a gap at the front of her brows. I'm going to start way underneath that to match into the rest of the brows. So basically I'm going to create a thicker brow, and also I'm going to mimic hairs where she kind of hasn't got hairs in that area at the front of her brow. So for that, I'm just literally really tiny strokes, and every time I place a bit of this brow product, I'm going to brush it through with a spoolie. So this I think is Maybelline, but I like the Mix Micro Brow Pencils. I like the Benefit has Precisely My Brow, which I love as well. MAC Spiked is a favourite of mine. So really there's a load of different prices. You just kind of have to try them out and see which one works for you best. So you can just see I'm doing the exact same on the previous brow, and now I'm going in with my Inglot Under Eye Concealer in 95. And during this tutorial I kind of switch between 95 Under Eye Concealer from Inglot and NW15 from MAC, which is the Select Cover Up, which you all know I love anyway. So I'm just kind of working in stages, always working in stages, especially when you're doing the eyes. Well, my whole makeup look, when I do it on clients, I always work in stages. So you'll see that there'll be parts of this makeup look where Anna's going to look a little bit crazy, but then it all comes together at the end. So for really blocking out those brows like I'm doing now, I go in with Select Cover because it's a little bit thicker than the 95 Under Eye Concealer. I find that the 95 Under Eye Concealer can be a little bit like sheer, but like when you build it up it does go to a lovely matte. But to really block out those brow hairs that I don't want there, I have to go in with, you know, the Select Cover Up by MAC. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm constantly patting down. Like, patting is definitely the key to this makeup look. I'm working with liquid products, so anything liquid, always remember pat. So liquid, pat. And basically what that does is it really works it into the skin, which is what's going to make it last longer. Like, my makeup when I do it on clients does not budge at all. So I'm going in now with MAC's Peaches, and this is a blush. I love using blushes as like eyeshadow colours. I find that they're like highly pigmented. They also blend beautifully as well. So I'm like swapping between my Bdellium Tools brush and my Nema Donna brush. And basically what that's doing is it's helping me blend. So with the Bdellium Tools, which is the yellow brush, I'm basically trying to lay down my product. I'm getting that pigmentation. The Nema Donna brush, which is the teal kind of duck egg colour, what I'm doing with that then is I'm just blurring the edges, and I'm using really light circular motions throughout the whole thing. So even though it's sped up, you can kind of see I'm using really small circular motions, and I'm working in stages. Again, always working in stages. Now I'm going in with Papaya, and this is from Suva Beauty, and it's hella pigmented, so I had to be really careful with this. I'm sorry for the in and out of focus, it was driving me insane when I was editing, but you can kind of see what I'm doing. So yeah, basically again I'm working in stages, but I've gone to a BB08 brush from Buff and Blend, and this is just a smaller brush which is gonna like make me focus in a smaller area, which is what I want. So the darker the colour, the smaller the brush, always, and I always say that, but really live by that. So as you can see, I'm not really quite focused on the blend at the moment. I just want to lay that colour down. I want to pack that colour in. I want to get that payoff. and then I go back in with my previous brush, and I call these my staircase steps. So you're going to keep going up and down and up and down. What is it like? A stepper. You know when you're in the gym and you're doing the stepper? So that's kind of what it is. You're going to lay down a colour, you go back in with your previous colour. You constantly want to keep the intensity of both colours. So again, that's what I'm doing. And with this look, because Anna's eyes are hooded, I really want to change the shape of her eye. So as you can see, I'm keeping this really tight in towards the lash line, and also very tight in the inner corner as well. So I want to keep all of that really tight and circular, because I'm going to totally change the shape of her eye. So now I'm going in with this beautiful maroon colour, and this is from the Lick and Lash Beauty Please Me palette, and I'm going in with a Nima, I think it's a Jenny brush, I'm not too sure, but I think it's a Jenny brush. So I'm going in with that Nima Jenny brush, and I'm just, again, it's a super small brush, and I'm really focusing this in a smaller area. And if you can see, my hand is a lot closer to the bristles at this time, because although I want this to be blended and stuff, I really want this to be focused in the area that I want it. So I'm laying it down. I want to be really precise with this. So because I want to be precise, I'm going to hold my brush a lot closer to the hand, like to the bristles. If I want less control, I'm going to hold it a lot further back. So then I'm going back through my staircase stages, because this is what we do. So every time we lay down a colour, we go back through our previous colours, and that's to make sure that we keep the intensity. And sometimes we can lose that, especially through blending. So sometimes what I would do is I would just pick up a little bit of, say, the papaya colour, which was that orange colour. If I feel like it's getting a little bit too maroony, I'll go in with that papaya, and I'll just do a little wiggle around, and basically that will just inject a bit of that papaya back in, and it will keep the colours there. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, and it's all stages, it's slow, like it takes an hour to do a full client, you know, so it's all about working in stages and building up colour, as opposed to packing loads on at the one time and then losing it. So this is my favourite trick of all time. So with my what is this? I'm using the Inglot Under Eye Concealer. So basically I'm going to do a little dot along the lash line, and as you can see, I got my client to look up to the ceiling, and then that gave me my first mark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hug the ball of the eye, and then I'm going to hook that and bring that to connect to that first line that I made. So I'm really working with the shape here, and I'm completely creating a different eye shape for Anna. So because she's got a hooded lid, as you can see, I'm not bringing that concealer right to the last lash, which is what I would usually do. But the reason why I'm not doing that is because I really need to work in stages here. As you can see, I'm trying to make it look as when she looks straight ahead that she has a crease. So we have to work in stages here, and I'm making sure that I have that in tight and it's in a small area, because if I go from the last lash, it could drag her eye down, which is not what I want to do. So I'm working in stages to really see what I'm doing here. And as you can see, I keep getting Anna to look straight ahead, and every time she looks straight ahead, I see if there's a gap. So if there's a little gap in the connection between the bottom to the top, I'm going to basically fill that gap in with a little bit of concealer, but try and keep that shape round. So this will take a little bit of practice, but as you can see, the further I'm going on, it's actually getting more connected. And when Anna looks straight ahead, you wouldn't know that she has a hooded eye, because it's basically creating this different shape on her lid. So I just keep on doing that, and I'm pressing and flicking off, pressing and flicking off. So I'm not like, it's not heavy movements, it's small, it's light. So that's the key to, like, when you have a hooded eye, always do it to your natural shape. So I'm getting Anna to look straight ahead. As she's looking straight ahead, I'm putting a mark where I know that that will fill in. And then I go in and I fill that gap in. So then it's perfect, and it's basically exactly what I wanted. And when she looks straight ahead now, there's no divide between along the lash line and the tip of her crease. I'm going in now with a little bit of pigment, and this pigment is from Stargazer. It's like a gold reflex. I don't know the number of it, but I'll pop that down below anyway. And I'm going in again with my Charles Fox brush, which is what I use to carve out the lid. This brush is literally like my all-time favorite brush. Like, I'm obsessed with this brush. So I'm basically slowly again working in stages, patting that on, literally pressing it on, picking up more product, pressing it on. Every time you see my hand pull away, I'm grabbing more product. And that is what gets that intensity, like really, really strong, and that's what we want. So I'm not filling up the whole lid with this Stargazer pigment, I'm bringing it halfway. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with Danessa Myrix. And this is a highlighter, but I love this as a pigment. It's so beautiful. It's called Angel Wings. It is stunning. And I just absolutely love this whole color combination. Like, it's my favorite. So basically I'm filling in the gaps where I didn't put the Stargazer pigment. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with another Stargazer pigment, but as you can see, this is a little bit reddish and a little bit more maroon. And instead of doing like a full smoky, dark, graduated smoky eye, I'm not really doing that on the lid. I'm just putting a small bit of that maroon colour, and it's just going to darken out the outer corners without doing too much work. So I'm just cleaning this up with a little bit of micellar water. But if you can see at the bottom of on the bottom lash line, I'm actually leaving a bit of that eyeshadow because I want to make sure that I can connect that all together to keep it super rounded. So this is my Kat Von D Lock-It Concealer, my favourite. I think this is in the shade Neutral, L5 Neutral, I think. And I'm going to go in with my Beauty So Clean, which is amazing. Basically, you just spray it twice, pop it back in, and it's completely sanitized. So I do that in between every re-dip. So you don't want to like double dip without it being sanitized. And again, every liquid product you always pat. So just remember that if it's liquid, you pat it. So basically I'm going in with this beautiful, this is from Smashbox, and I'm just basically patting it down. So this is just like a fluffy blending brush, and I find that these blending brushes or any brushes that are made for powder actually work better with liquids as well. So that's what I'm using at the moment, and I'm just really working that in, pressing it into underneath the eye. And then what I'm doing is I'm going back in with my brushes that I used previously and the same colors, and I'm working through those and just doing the underneath of the eye. So what I do when I'm doing my underneath of the eye, I start in the center where the pupil would hit straight ahead, and then I kind of blend it, but I don't connect it into the inner corner or to the outer corner either, because it will just kind of naturally connect when you start blending with your other colors. So as you can see, that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm not bringing it all the way to the inner corner, I'm just blending it, and it's kind of connecting naturally, which is just exactly what I want. So once I've laid all that down, I'm going to make sure to go back in with my little fluffy brush that I used with the concealer, and I'm just going to make sure that all of that is blended. I kind of like everything to melt into the skin as opposed to being able to see the divide between the eye makeup and the foundation. So now I'm going in with the Wet n Wild. This is the H2O liner. Oh my god, it's incredible. It's so good and it's super cheap, so literally a win-win situation. And basically I'm just doing a little line, and I'm getting Anna to look straight ahead just so I can see that like when she opens her eyes that it's not going to completely take over. So with Anna, because she's got a hooded eye, I want to make sure that this is super thin. Now to set this, just because it's a client, I wouldn't really necessarily do this on myself, but I always do it with clients, is I go in with a black shadow on top of it, and I literally press it in, and I'm like, you stay there, don't move. And that is what I do to set it, so if they accidentally open their eyes when I ask them not to, it's not going to imprint, which is a nightmare, and it's a lot harder to fix than just popping a little bit of black eyeshadow on it. So that's what I do. Going in again with my 95 under eye concealer, and I'm just carving out those brows with my MAC 252. Not my favourite brush, but I'm kind of learning to love it a little bit. I much prefer my Charles Fox, but I will eventually get the hang of this brush. So I'm going in again and I'm just carving out the brows, and I'm leaving the front of the brow free because I don't want it to be too boxy. So what I'm doing now is I'm blending with, again, that Smashbox brush, and I'm just making sure that the front of the brows are nice and like wispy. I don't want them to be too harsh. So this is a mixture of MAC Select Cover, or not Select Cover, I'm sorry, MAC Studio Fix Fluid and Waterproof Foundation, and I'm just patting that on. Again, if it's a liquid product, you're going to pat it on. And for this, I'm using the Zoeva Luxe highlight brush, which is, I think it's the number 117, and that's the Zoeva brush. So I'm just patting, and if I feel like I need to buff anywhere, like again along the jawline or along the hairline, I'll kind of buff it. But if you're gonna buff it, buff and pat, and basically you always just want to pat. So the reason why I pat my products in is because I'm working it into the skin as opposed to it sitting on the skin. So I really want it to like stay on the skin all day. Like if you are trying to get 4 days out of your makeup, this is the way to do it. It's a bit gross, but you know, people do that. I'm just popping in a little bit more concealer from the Kat Von D, and I'm just buffing that in and patting. So if you're gonna buff and pat. For my bronzer then, I'm not a huge like harsh contour girl, so I'm just going in with this beautiful bronzer, which is unfortunately discontinued, but it is from the Estee Edit and it's called the Barest Bronzer. I absolutely love it. I'm just using the excess around the hairline, and again the same goes for the eyes, that goes for the face. So every time you put a new product on, you're going to pat that on with your previous product, which would be your foundation brush. It doesn't have to have any extra product on it. I just basically wanted to make sure that it's all melted into the skin, as opposed to being able to see, oh, she done her foundation, oh, there's her contour, oh, there's her bronzer, there's her blush. So that's kind of the difference between the way I do my makeup to the way other people would do their makeup. So I'm just constantly making sure everything's blended and merged in together. So it's kind of a back and forth process, and it may seem to be like really pointless, but it's not. So for my highlight, again, I always use a fluffy blending brush, and I'm just popping on some Sin from Urban Decay. This is their Afterglow. I'm going in with this NYX liner. Don't even ask me the name, I don't know. And for my lips then, I'm using the Kylie Jenner Dolce K. And that is basically it. Like, you can spray it with a little bit of setting spray, fan it off, and you're done. That is the overall look. And as you can see, Anna does not have a hooded lid, which is exactly what we want to achieve. So I wanted to show you guys that you could do the exact same thing, regardless of your eye shape. So I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you think that this would be helpful to one of your friends, then please share it with them, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.